All right, so one thing I've been wanting to do for quite some time now is actually do two things. One, a very deep clean to my She-Hulk PC, along with changing the radiator and the way it is cooling, because when I built it, I kind of regret what I did. If you understood, the 13th and 14th gen CPUs were going motherboards, the BIOSes needed to be updated for the cooling issues that they were having. Now the 12th gen, I think, was slightly affected, but it has taken care of a lot of the cooling issues as far as the BIOS updates. However, when I built this, I kind of regret doing the radiators up top here, and I'm actually pulling air down through. So these fans really need to be flipped around the other way if I'm going to keep the radiator up top. Otherwise, I can put the radiator back here. I don't believe... No, it can't go in the back there, but it can either go up front or up top. We're going to keep it up top, but I'm going to flip those fans around. But again, this needs a deep clean. I'm also considering putting the graphics card at the horizontal instead of the vertical. It's just, I do like it in the way it looks right here for on camera. Also, there's two fans that need replaced. The middle one and the lower one here have an LED out. I have another kit of 3. Now, it does appear that this case is not capable of doing a push-pull configuration like my main PC, which is the Maker Reborn. I do have a push-pull configuration going on here. The top cannot support that, and it does not look like this can support it either, unless I put... It might actually be able to. I'm going to take a look at that, because then I could use all the fans, and it'd just be kind of more interesting and cool it a little bit better. So let me get this thing out here on the bench.
I think I just spit something out there.
Let me get this thing out on the bench, and let's just start looking at this a little closer, and then we'll start tearing it apart. Don't go anywhere. Let's see, our dust tray for our bottom is virtually clean. I mean, there's nothing going on there. But we do have some buildup on the top here. I don't know how well you'll be able to see all that crap. Look at that. So that's actually, it's not horrible, but it definitely can be cleaned. I think what I'm going to do here is actually use my phone so I don't have to take the camera off the tripod. I'll get you some close-up shots in here of how dirty it is. All right, so this is the front of the case. You can really see in there and just how dirty this is. If I wipe my finger, look at all that junk that's in there. And that's, of course, on all of the fans. We can really see in there. It's pretty nasty. I mean, of course, this is not as dirty as a lot of, you know, that I've seen before. But you can see the blades, how dirty those are. Now, these aren't too bad because these don't spin that much, because I don't put this under a load. But overall, it's actually not too bad. I mean, the motherboard isn't really that dusty. But yeah, we'll get this thing cleaned up and situated. Now, the radiator, that up there is actually pretty dirty. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but yeah, we're gonna get that thing bathed up. One of the biggest issues with having this like this is actually trying to get to these screws right in here to actually remove the graphics card. This is the biggest pain in the butt. I don't know why. I have to use a stubby screwdriver just to even attempt to get in there. But realistically, I really should take this fan off because that'll be a little easier. It's my pretty 3080. All white and sexy and stuff. Ah, I forgot one of the Peely Peels. Very small one, but that's been on there for a couple years now. This motherboard is one of the heaviest motherboards I've ever worked with. This thing also has a capability of liquid cooling the VRMs, which is, it's a pretty nice motherboard. In case you're wondering, this is the Asus ROG Maximus Formula, or Formula Maximus motherboard, so this thing is a pretty nice motherboard. I did have to take off the heatsink for the M.2 because one of the motherboard screws are located underneath of this, and this is an LCD readout at the same time, but you can see the cooling spots for that. This is a very capable overclocking motherboard if you are curious. And look at the wear. There is actually, it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a whole bunch of wear right here. That's just from the case coming into contact with this part of the motherboard. You know, nothing I can do about that. But I think this can support 2 or 3 more M.2s under here. It's pretty nice. And by the way, I am rocking a 12900 KS. Not that that's anything impressive by today's standards, but it's still a pretty good processor. That's part of why the cooling for this is a little more difficult. This is because it's the KS variant of the 12900. What better cloth to clean this with than a nice orange PK color cloth? Now, in order to clean this, I think I'm going to give it a nice hot bath and just run some pressured water right through this just to clean any of the fins out. But I got to do this upstairs, so it'll be off camera. So I'll be right back. All right, well, she's dripping a little bit of water, so I'm just going to blow it out here. And hopefully it doesn't get over everything here. Matter of fact, I'll drop it down to 2. I don't want it to get all over my desk. All right, we got some Q-tips and we have our 70% alcohol. That's all I'm going to use to clean the fans. I do have 99%, but there's no sense in using 99%. I mean, I could, but why bother? Even goes to show that nobody is perfect, where I missed a peel tab right here. Look at that. Now it's brand new again. Oh man, that's 2 little peel tabs that I missed. So look at this fan. Look at the difference in, here, I will put, oops, just spilt that. So let me dry that up. So look at this fan and look at this one in comparison right next to it. You can see the difference, how much darker this one is. It's got a lot more crap built up on it. I forgot the peely peel on this one too. That means I forgot them on all of them, probably. These were the ones for the radiator. All right, well, the good thing is I do have 3 brand new fans because 2 of my fans, the LEDs are starting to go out. So I figured, I started to clean the other ones. I thought maybe I would do a push-pull configuration, but I think what I'm gonna do is just utilize the 3 new fans. I'm not gonna do a push-pull, and just to get this thing back up and running, because I've got a lot of cable management. I'm almost disgusted with it. So I just want to get this thing back up and running. Now, of course, when you buy a kit of 3 from like Corsair, you always get a brand new controller in here, but I actually don't need this controller because we already have 2 controllers hooked up. So the unfortunate thing about this though is these are 120 millimeter fans. They will fit on this, but I was using 140 millimeter fans. So we just have to go with the flow, I guess, and put 120 millimeters in it because I don't feel like spending the money on these. And quite frankly, if I was going to spend money on fans, I'd probably replace everything with Corsair IQ Link, ones versus these, because you're dealing with 2 cables per fan, one for the fan, the actual fan itself, and the other one for the RGB. So on the front of the case, since this sits like this inside the case, I want air to come in. So we are going to be putting this on the inside so we can see it on the inside. And let's not forget to peel these off, because all the fans I forgot to peel off these little things on one side or another. So we're gonna get them pulled off now so I don't forget that again. I cannot believe I forgot to pull all those off, but that's okay. And since these are the same exact screws, it does come with brand new screws, but we're just going to use the same ones that I pulled out of the 140 millimeter. There's no sense in getting the new ones out. All right, so the fans are now installed. They look pretty good. I mean, I gotta say that the 140s definitely filled it out a lot more, and they did look better. But you know, all because of that RGB. You know, that's the problem. RGB is a pain in the butt. And quite frankly, I wish they never invented it, because then I would have started liking it. I love it. I love the looks of it. I just hate cable management. I hate configuring it. I hate it when there's problems with it and trying to solve them. Firmware updates, software updates, problems, LEDs going out, having to change it. It's a mess. All right, I think we can actually start the reassembly process now. So basically, I did have zip ties on this before, but I think I'm gonna try it without. I could put one right there just to hold it all in place, which I think I will do. Okay, that's what it kind of looks like. You'll never see any of this stuff though. And then we're just gonna feed all these wires right through this hole right here. Okay, so now you need to kind of reach around this other side here and pull these on through. I'm just going like this, and should sit just like that. There we go. All right, so last time we had the pump like this, and I'm kind of thinking of changing it around a little bit and putting the pump like this, just to fill out the case a little bit more and possibly get rid of the streamers. I don't know if I'm gonna have the streamers in there anymore. Being these guys right here, I'm just not sure I'm gonna do it. But I am gonna put does look like the white to get a little dirty right here. I don't know if there's really anything I can do about that. I'm not going to worry about it though. So it's about as clean as it's going to be. We'll get the fans on it, which means the back of it is going to be here. So I need the cables coming out like this. Also, we want to think about that this is going to be pushing air out. So we want to see the fan hub. We don't want to see back here. We want to see the opening. All right, how does that look? We are different from last time. So now we're going to be pushing air up and through. And I may have to pull this cable back out. I think I could put this in there and then feed the cables up through. All right, I got some Kingpin thermal compound that I'm gonna put on, and like always, I always do it with a glove, and I spread it by hand to make sure it's all covered 100%. And we're just gonna put it on like so. And usually I do this with it laying down. This time I'm going to use 99% alcohol here. And we're going to grab some alcohol and get this guy cleaned up. It's not a good idea to use 2 different thermal compounds because they could have a chemical reaction and not cool as efficient. Let's go ahead and get this thing installed, shall we? We're going to put it right back the same direction. If you can see here, It's going to go on the same exact direction as it did before. I'm just making sure that all that alcohol was dried up. Basically from here, what I got to do is I got to hook up the Corsair. I think this is the Commander Pro, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know what this is, but I think this is the Commander Pro. Basically, you have a couple USB connections you could utilize. You got fan connections, LEDs, and temp sensors all on here. I have to get this connected. If I'm going to put these streamers back on, I've got to look at those and see if they'll work, because I did change this around, so the arcing might not be as efficient how I like it, so we may just leave those out, but I'll take a look at it here, and I have to get this cable management done. So let me get this back together and kind of show you the final results. We also are missing a couple of the PCIe slot covers here, but if I take two off of here to put it in like this, I can just put them back in here and we should be all set. So anyway, stick around, don't go anywhere, be right back. Well, don't you know that when I was cutting, I actually nicked the wire on this streamer twice, but only once. Now, this might be really tough to see because the lighting obviously sucks, but if I come out here, we can just barely see it. It is cut in half. I have another nick up here that is showing a little bit of bare, but I think I can just leave that one alone, throw some tape around it, and it'll be fine. I don't have another one of these, and these things are about 50, 60 bucks, so unless they've come down on price, I'm just not going to buy another one of these. So I'm going to split the wire. I'm going to use my little soldering station I set up here. We are going to solder this wire back together and then hope that it works. If it doesn't, then I'm just going to let it go. Now, I do have a microscope, but I can see it pretty well just under this. It's not necessary to actually have the microscope, but I do need to separate it from the other channel because they're all connected. So I need to figure out how I am going to do that. Actually, I think I'm going to use a razor blade. And you guys can watch as I do this. This was kind of unexpected, but it is also tough too because I need to solder 2 points. So, I need to get my soldering gun warmed up here. We are going to check this. All right, we're ready to go. So let me get this over top of here so I can see my magnifying glass here. We are just going to get some some solder on. My hands are not steady whatsoever. There we go. Now, I don't think that's a really good attachment there, but it might give us enough to get this other side done. Yeah, see, it's starting to come off there. Ah, there we go. Now I can do the other side again. That, I believe, is a decent enough job to where I'll be happy enough. Let me grab a hold of this. Oh. There we go. All right, I think I'm happy with that, guys. That seems like a pretty strong connection. We'll let that side go. We'll put this tubing right over it. I'm gonna get my heat gun. That's all set, but unfortunately, I do see this now, and it's actually cut more than I want it to be. So we're going to repair this part too, and I might as well just take this right up. It's unfortunate, but I can't do anything about it. Yeah, there's 3 strands broke out of 5, so we're definitely going to be fixing this. I probably would have replaced this whole entire wire if I was going to do this. I didn't realize I was going to do this part, so don't be too rough on me. I mean, I could take this and cut this back off and just put one piece, which would probably be better, but I don't really feel like doing that. And what I'll do is I'll take a couple of zip ties and we will put this right on here. This is a little tight, actually. All right, well, it's time to turn this thing back on. I do have the front glass out right now, and who knows? I mean, I didn't do the best cable management this time. It was kind of not that great. Anyway, let's go ahead and turn this thing back on. Power on. That's good so far. But I do need to reinstall Windows. I totally forgot. So I need to get that done before anything, but we can go ahead and I will grab Windows. So the reason why I'm putting new Windows in it is because it's gotten cluttered over a couple of years, and there's stuff that I just don't want on there anymore, and I think a fresh install would really benefit this. So I don't have anything on there that I needed, so we're just going to do that. And by the way, how do we like the new setup? So I changed it from a horizontal look to now from a vertical to a horizontal. And this is the way it is. These pump lines are kind of in the way. Not much I can do about that though. Behind me, we can see that I have Windows now reinstalled. And we're just going through some updates, Armory Create and Windows updates, but this is not the final product as far as what I'm going to have the RGB doing, but I do have to get iCUE software installed. I have to get Armory Create and get the motherboard software going, because there is one thing in particular that did connect. And one thing I did just notice, and I have to correct it. I do have this power supply upside down. That is unfortunate. So I will be shutting that down and turning that around because the LCD readout is on the other side. So what are you going to do? All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for me. As we can see, all the RGB is working on everything that's supposed to have RGB. And the streams, the Leon Lee streamers are working, or at least the one, I think it's the 24 pin that had the broken wire. So that was the only problem that I did address and I fixed. And other than that, it was just kind of a walkthrough with me on the deep clean, fixing that cable, and yeah, just reorganizing so we don't have a vertical GPU now. We are going horizontal right to the motherboard. So just a couple little different things. It was kind of fun and it needed a good cleaning. So anyway, feel free to leave your comments down below with any questions you might have. And also hit that thumbs up button to help support and just give support and love to the channel, right? It might help the algorithm, but I'm just not sure. Anyway, hit that subscribe button if you have not subscribed, and that bell icon next to the subscription button to get notified for any future videos that I do post. And until next time, guys, take care.